Hi, Alison. I hope you're doing well. Hi, Nish as well. Hi, hello. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Catherine. Lovely to see you again. It's been a while.
I
Um,
know.
I know
Thank
it
you.
has been a while. It's lovely to see your face again. Okay, so I'm gonna let the room run for a couple of more minutes before we start, just to see who else will be joining us. Oh, Black Cat. Always gotta love a cat. But yes, some of you have been here before. In fact, most of you have been here before. If you can just go into the chat and let me know what you'd like to gain from today's session. So today we're talking about passive income streams. So just put in the chat what you'd like to gain from today's session. And that way I can make sure we cover it. Or if it's a particularly juicy topic, it may even be the subject of a future forum. Hello, Sarah. Love to see you, my darling. So yes, just go into the chat. Let me know what you'd like to gain from today's session. The whole goal of the forum, that it isn't just a static, I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm going to use it anyway, a static workshop or masterclass where I speak and you learn. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with any of those, by the way. I do lots of masterclasses and workshops. However, the goal of the forum is for it to be far more interactive. So, yes, I'll do a short presentation in the beginning, but then it's all about us all talking together. You giving me questions, even asking each other questions, giving each other feedback. Today, we're talking about passive income streams. So, I'd love to know if many of you have passive income streams. What are your thoughts on it? So, yeah, help each other out. That's the whole point of the forum. It isn't just a static, I'm going to use the word whether it's right or wrong, workshop or masterclass. So do go into the chat and let me know what you'd like to gain from today's session, because this allows me to structure the forum. So unlike a masterclass or a workshop where you know exactly what you're going to say and you've mapped out your entire half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Hello, David. Love to see you again.
Sorry, I'm late.
Lovely to see you. Instead, this is just really just structured just for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then it's open. So that way, if you go into the chat and let me know what you'd like to gain, it allows me to make sure the forum is structured today so everybody gets what they need from it. You are giving me 45 minutes of your valuable time. Okay, thank you, Stanley. So you can't stay for long. I know these 2 weeks drive me crazy, Stanley, because I was just saying to my assistant Joycey, who's here, I was speaking to my assistant just an hour ago. I was saying, how are we ever going to have world peace when we can't even decide between us as a species to change the clocks on the same date? If we can't even do that, like it's the next 2 weeks is just a nightmare, because I think on the East Coast, you guys are going back this weekend. In the UK, we've already gone back last weekend. I think on the West Coast, they changed the weekend after. There's some states in the US don't even change. And then Australia has got a whole other things going on as well. And it's like, oh my God, no wonder we can't get on with each other. We can't even decide that. So there we go. Welcome. Sorry, I've only got your name as JF, so I don't know what to call you, but welcome, JF. Lovely to have you here. I think it's the first time you're here, so welcome here. Okay, so you've started to put things into the chat, which is great. Do let me know what you'd like to gain from today's session, but let's get started. So let me just start sharing my screen. Where am I? Here we go. Okay, so can you all see my screen? Just want to make sure, because excellent. Thank you, David. Really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, welcome to the Thought Leader Author Forum. Most of you have been here before, but we do have a couple of newbies, so welcome to the Thought Leader Author Forum. So the structure of the forum, it's in two parts. The first part usually lasts about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, is we talk about the topic of today. So today we're talking about passive income streams. So I'm going to give you ideas of how, as an author, you can build passive income streams. Now, if you're thinking, hang on, I'm not even already an author yet, Vitaly, you're getting a bit ahead of yourself. Don't worry about it. If you've not written a book, this is still good to know. In fact, I think it's actually better to do things backwards when it comes to books. What a lot of people do with books is they write the book and then they go, now what? What should I do with the book? I'm thinking, it actually would have been better if you started with the destination in mind. If you'd figured out exactly what you want your book to do for you, for your business, your brand, your career, whatever it is, and then worked your way backwards from that, that will actually inform you what goes into your book. A lot of people don't do that. They kind of work from the other way around. They write the book and then it's like, right, how am I going to use it? How am I going to leverage it? And what I get my clients to do is they actually sit there and think about what they're going to use their book for, how they're going to leverage it before they've written a single word, because that informs what goes into their book. So if you're sat there thinking, Charlie, I'm not even an author yet, and you're telling me I need to start considering how to build passive income streams, I'm not even an author. That's actually a good thing, because by starting to think about this now will inform what goes into your book and how you structure it. And then part two, my favorite bit, this is where I open up to the floor. You guys can fire questions at me, give me feedback, tell me about any passive income streams you've got currently, what you think of them. That's where it becomes really interactive. And also to thank you for coming. Please feel free to take notes if you wish, but you don't have to. You can sit back, have your cup of tea, coffee, whatever it is, knowing that you will get this workbook sent to you by my awesome assistant, Joycey. She usually sends it out mid-morning to early afternoon UK time. So it'll be very early morning if you're based in the States. You will get this. This will go into everything we talk about today and in a lot more detail than I'll go into today. So you will have that. That is my gift to you. And also to thank you for coming to today's forum. You can choose one of these amazing causes and we will donate on your behalf. So it doesn't actually cost you anything, apart from you're troubling a few electrons by clicking a couple of times. But apart from that, that's all it costs you, a few clicks, and you can actually pick one of these causes and we'll make a donation on your behalf. So you can go away feeling particularly smug that you've done your good deed for the day. In fact, while I'm speaking, I might as well put this into the chat now. So while you're listening to me, you can all click on this. So just click on that link, pick one of these causes. All you have to do is just literally click one of them and we make a donation on your behalf. Okay, so let me just go back to this. Okay, so I polled my audience earlier this week and I wanted to ask them, well, I want to ask them about passive income. I want to say, can passive income streams be a key factor in achieving financial independence? And a whopping 88% said yes. I ran this poll, I think, in the summer, and it was very similar. I think it was around somewhere high 80s or even early 90s. So a lot of business owners, most of my audience, by the way, tend to own their own brands or business. They understand that passive income streams is a key. 5% said no. I don't know why. It's interesting whenever you get somebody who says no, but they don't leave a comment. And we had 8% who weren't sure. So let me give you an idea of some of the comments that I received. So I've got Marie who said passive income can provide stability and freedom, creating opportunities to focus on long-term goals without constant financial pressure. That's a big one. I've been there. My very, very first business back in 2013 was as a content writer. And I've been on that roller coaster. You know, you got too much work that comes in and then you're stressed, because you don't want to say no to anything. So you say yes to far too many projects and there's only one of you and you're thinking, my God, I need to clone myself. And then there's no work for a few months. Now you're stressed all over again because you're thinking, oh my God, how am I going to, you know, pay all my bills? So that roller coaster of feast and famine is something that most business owners experience. And anything that will just kind of even that out a little bit so you don't have the peaks and troughs is a boon, and that's something that most business owners look for. And passive income could be a very key factor in being able to level out those peaks and troughs. Leslie says, I have several and it's a great cushion. I think that's a perfect word for it. It is a cushion. I've got a number of passive income streams, and it's wonderful to know that every month I'm not starting at zero. I know what it feels like being a jobbing copywriter and content writer, starting at zero every month. It's not fun, guys. Tiba says, on the bright side, it gives you financial security and frees up your time, but it usually requires some initial effort and can take a while to start bringing in money. That's really, really good. I'm glad Tiba's saying that, because I'm not even sure I like the term passive income streams, because it does give the impression that you just kind of just sit back and you make money. It doesn't work that way. It does mean you have to put time and effort in the beginning, but the goal is that time and effort starts to slow down, so you don't need to put that much time and effort into it. And what I said before, you're not starting at zero every single time. So this is actually a perfect time to actually give you a disclaimer. Okay. Now, if you came into this forum thinking, great, Mitali's going to show me a way that I can press a button and loads of money is just going to come into my account every month and I got to do nothing for it. Sorry, folks. I don't think that button exists. Or maybe it does. Maybe the button does exist somewhere. No one's told me, I'm afraid. I'm not aware of any button in the world where you can just press and money will come to you. You do need to build something. Even if you're thinking of things, as, for example, offline passive income could be maybe you have a couple of properties and you let those properties out to people. Even that is not completely passive. First of all, you had to buy the property, you had to do it up, you had to decorate it, you had to do all of those things. And even once you've let it out, as a landlord, you're responsible. So if your tenants have anything that goes wrong, and things will go wrong, because it's not like you can just do up a house and then it just stays in pristine condition forever. Things naturally break down. You have to be on call. Or there's always things that you have to do. So there's no such thing as completely passive income. You need to put time and effort in the beginning. And even once it's up and going, you need to maintain it. However, don't let that put you off. It's still amazing to have passive income streams, even though you have to put effort in the beginning and you do need to do a spot of maintenance now and then. It's just amazing. Trust me, as someone who spent 5 years riding that roller coaster of literally being paid for my time. And then it meant that when I didn't have enough clients, I was stressed. And when I did have clients, I had too many clients and I was stressed. In other words, I was permanently stressed for those 5 years. Building passive income streams has meant that that stress has been limited to a certain extent. Okay, so this is something that I created in conjunction with my very, very first, I would say 7 or 8 clients. And what I watched them do is they wrote books, published them, the books did really well, and they went on to build these passive income streams from their books. That's the key word here, from their books. Your book in itself, although it can be a passive income stream, you'd struggle to make a lot of money from them. You really will struggle to make a lot of money from them. Just to give you an idea, the average nonfiction book sells around about 3,000 copies in its lifetime, not in a year or even 2 years, in its lifetime. There's many books that never even hit 1,000 copies in its lifetime. So you're not going to make a huge amount of money from your books. And actually, somebody messaged me on LinkedIn. They saw my poll and they went, "Oh, Mitali, I'm not really sure about coming to your forum because I don't know what you're going to be teaching. I don't see how you can make passive income from books." And I did say to him, "Did you read my poll correctly? Because my poll did not actually say specifically, passive income streams from book sales. All I asked was, are passive income streams a key factor in financial freedom or financial independence for a business owner? It wasn't from a book. So that's a key thing that I want you to take away. Don't just publish a book and just think that in itself. I mean, don't get me wrong, it could happen. It happened to E.L. James, for example. She just put something on Amazon. And that's a lady, by the way, if you don't know the name, that's a lady who wrote 50 Shades of Grey. And well, she's a multimillionaire now. But the reason we have those stories is because they rarely happen. That's why it's a fantastic story. If it happened to everybody, we wouldn't be talking about it because it'll be boring. So if you're expecting to have the same experience as E.L. James, you're going to be waiting a lifetime for that. It's not something that's usual. And certainly my clients are not waiting for that. Instead, they use their books to build assets. And this is what we're going to go through today. So as you can see, if you work all the way through, so passive income assets. Oh, by the way, before I start, for some of the new people in the crowd, I've got a brain like a sieve. Okay, I really struggle to remember my name sometimes. I really, really do. So a long, long time ago, I started to create little infographics, acronyms, any mnemonics to help this brain of mine remember stuff. So I created this in conjunction with my first few clients. And as you can see, it's passive income assets, because that's what you want to create. You're wanting to create an asset that pays you again and again and again. That's essentially what an asset is. Okay. And as you can see, assets has been broken down. And if we go clockwise, this will be a great way for you to remember. So you're not always having to look through my workbook and go, "Oh, what did Mitali say?" 6 months from now, you're not going to remember. However, if you remember assets, you'll then be able to remember the 5 key things that you can create once you're an author, that you can create that can build really good passive income streams for you. Okay, so first of all, A, the very first letter of assets, A, is for audiobooks. This is a really, really cool passive income stream, mainly because of perceived value. Now, disclaimer here, I don't make the rules when it comes to perceived value. A lot of the times it doesn't make sense to me either. But human beings, we're weird creatures, okay? We like to say we're so logical. We're not. We're very emotional creatures, and we're pretty weird. So I don't really know why, for example, that audiobooks, let me go back one side, audiobooks are perceived to be worth more than physical books. The content is the same. So it doesn't really matter. And yet people whinge if you ask for more than, say, £10 or $10 for a paperback. They whinge even harder if it's more than £5 or $5 for a digital format, such as an ebook. They just, again, I've even heard people say that. They're like, oh, but that you're not even sending anything. That's just ones and O's. What's that got to do with anything? Surely it's about the content. If the content changes you, changes your life in some way, changes your business, your career, your relationships, surely that is what it's about. And yet people are weird. They kind of, for some reason, they love books, but then they reduce them down to literal bits of paper or ones and zeros. And it's like, it's not about the ones and zeros or the paper. It's about the content that's in the ones and zeros or the paper. But people don't think that. And yet somehow for audiobooks, they're happy to pay 20, 30, even £40 to download an audiobook. So it's a very, very simple way. You've already got the content. So it's not like you're creating a new book. Many of my clients have then created audiobook versions of their book. Now, are they getting stinking rich from audiobooks? No. They're probably making a few £100s or dollars a month. But again, remember what it was Leslie that said? I have several, and it's a great cushion. Even if you just made £300 or $300 from audiobook downloads a month, that could pay, I don't know, a quarter of your mortgage. Or it could be the money that you give to a child or whatever it is. So it's still a lovely cushion. Now, the exciting thing about audiobooks, and what really put a lot of my clients off in the early days, was we needed, what you don't want to do, by the way, with audiobooks is just record. See, this is fine. I'm just doing a live forum. The sound quality here is fine. This is not fine. What if you're listening to me right now, this is not fine for an audiobook. When you have an audiobook, you're in somebody's ear. The sound quality needs to be a lot higher than the typical Zoom quality that we've got now. That was a real stumbling block for a lot of my clients in the beginning. Going back to 2018, 2019, that was a big stumbling block. They had to either go into a studio or they had to buy studio level equipment, which cost a lot of money, hundreds, sometimes thousands of pounds just to create. So that was a big issue, the outlay. The wonderful thing now is in the world of AI, it's now come down to the fact that you can do this at home and you can get studio quality sound from your home devices. So you can record things. So if you're interested in this, do get in touch with me because I can point you in the right direction of different things that you can download and different. I mean, all these tools cost money, by the way, nothing's free, but we're talking about a fraction of what it used to be. I remember my very first audiobook client back in 2018, and he went into a studio that, you know, a friend of mine operates, and I think it was close to £3,000. He spent, I think, 6 hours in the studio that day, and then it had to be mastered and then published, and it was £3,000. Now it's probably under £1,000, maybe even a few £100 to get the same quality audiobook using AI. Okay, so it's wonderful what you can do. So yes, still initial outlay, but the fact that you can build up a nice little income stream for audiobooks, and yeah, the perceived value. People see audiobooks as more valuable than books, even though it's the exact same content. The next one, so S in assets, the first S in assets is for self-paced program. This is a big one. This is especially important if you have written a book as a coach or consultant or advisor, mentor, somewhere where your book is really guiding people. Okay, so this may not work so well for product-based business owners. I've had many clients who are product-based business owners, so they're actually selling a physical thing or a downloadable thing, but they're not teaching. So then a self-paced program probably wouldn't work, although there's always a way around things. But if you are teaching something, if you're a coach, consultant, mentor, advisor, that sort of thing, and you're teaching something, chances are elements of your book is teaching some kind of process or methodology that you have. You can then use that methodology and expand it and create a self-paced program. So this is something that I've done. Now, if you've known me for any length of time, you'll know that I coach and consult people and help them write their books. What I decided to do, because I know there's many, many people who just couldn't afford to work with someone like me. What I did was I took all of my knowledge, how to structure a book. Well, first of all, how to figure out what the best subject for your book is, then how to structure it, how to plan it out, how to write it, how to do a full developmental editing. I just put all of that and I put it into a video step-by-step program. Now there's people who are going through that program and it's hands-free from me. Like I said, it's never completely 100% hands-free. I do get the odd email from someone saying, hey, I'm locked out. Can I have help getting into my, they've all done something with their password. It's always the way they can't, or they're not getting their password reset email, or, you know, you get the odd little bits and things where you have to put the fire out here and there. But generally, I think I've got, last count, I think I've got about 29 or 30 people in that program. They're all paying me somewhere between, I think, about 50 to 100 pounds a month, and they're just in that program. It's passive income. Again, I don't have to start every month. I'm not starting at zero. I've got this money coming in. Now, is this money that I'm going to retire on? Probably not, but it's nice. We're talking about about 1,500 pounds or so that's coming in, and I don't really have to be working for it, just the odd email that I get, questions that I might get. But apart from that, it's passive income. Now, if you're thinking that sounds like a lot of work putting together a self-paced program, it's really not. If you've already got a methodology, say, for example, you're a coach, think of what you do with your one-to-one clients. Chances are you maybe already have paraphernalia that you give them. Maybe you put them through a questionnaire or a survey. Maybe you've done some kind of demonstrations for them, tutorials. You can polish them up and put them into a self-paced program. I had one client who was able to put a program together over a weekend. Now, it wasn't amazing, but he was a coach, he was a business coach. So he just said, well, okay. And he even found some talks that he'd done that people had recorded when he was on stage, and he included those as well. So you can put together a basic self-paced program. If you don't have a lot of stuff, start small and just charge, I don't know, £97 or dollars to get in, or $197 or 400 or 500, whatever you feel it's worth. You can start small, and then over time you can put more things into it and increase the price. But definitely think about that, especially if you are in a teaching modality. So if you're a coach, consultant, advisor, mentor, it's a no-brainer, because your book is going to be talking about your process, your methodology. All you have to do is expand each one, add tools and things that will help them, more stories, more case studies, and you've got a self-paced program. It's literally born from your book, so it shouldn't take you very, very long. Now, the next one, I've actually combined these two. The next one, this is really good, subscriptions. This is a really, really good way to build passive income streams that keeps coming in again and again. Now, you'll notice I've actually combined these two. My program is a self-paced program that's also a subscription, but you can separate it. I have clients who've got two of them, both of them separate. So they've created a self-paced program and they charge people, say, for example, $1,000. I'm thinking of one client who charges $997 for his program. It's a one-off, you pay for the program and you're in. But then he also has a subscription for a completely different thing, and that he charges $47 a month for his subscription. He even has some people who've bought the self-paced program and are also in the subscription. Now, if you're thinking, well, what can I do subscription-wise? Just think of what you can do that your audience will need regular contact in. So let me give you an example of one of my clients who's a designer. and he wrote a book back in 2019 regarding ethical design. Okay, so how to design websites, how to design things that are green as well. And, you know, so he was really ahead of the curve. I didn't even realize there were things such as green websites until about 2021. And in 2019, Catherine's sort of smiling there. I was completely clueless about that. I was just like, well, websites are websites. How can that be like clean or unclean? It's just a website. It's like, no, it depends on what energy it's using. And if it's using oil and gas for its energy source, for its servers, it's a dirty website then. Not that kind of dirty website, but you know what I mean. So I didn't know that. He was really ahead of the curve, and he taught me a lot when he was writing his book. And I thought, wow, even websites can be green or not green. So what he decided to do is, for he has a number of corporate clients. He creates every month he's creating landing pages, images, adverts for them. He decided, and he asked permission from his corporate clients, and he said, once I've created something for you, if I strip out all of the stuff that relates to you, so any of your IP I strip out, just the actual designs and the images that I've used, can I give them to other people? And the corporate said, well, yeah, as long as you don't, you know, as long as all of our IP is taken off it, then yeah, absolutely you can. So he has a monthly subscription for all the people who can't afford him, because he's a fantastic designer, web designer. And what he does, he has a subscription. I think he only charges, I think last time I spoke to him, he charges just under $30. I think it's $27 or $25 a month or something like that. And he has a subscription where he literally sends out to his list all of the designs he's done that month. And it just means these people have these professional designs that they can use themselves in their own websites and create their own funnels and do all the things that they have to do. So there you go. He's now created, and it's no extra work for him. Can you see how genius that is? He's creating this content for his corporate clients anyway. The only extra step he needs to do is just remove all of their IP, and then he sends that out on a monthly basis to a list of people who are paying him, I believe, just under $30 a month. Again, is he going to get stinking rich from that money? Probably not, but it's a nice cushion. He tells me he's making around about $2,000 a month just on the subscription. Like I said, so you're not going to get rich on $2,000 a month, but that's a nice cushion. That's a lovely cushion to have, knowing that at the beginning of every month, you're starting off with $2,000 in your bank account. Okay, so think about what subscriptions you can offer. What is it that you can give value on a regular basis? Another one of my clients, he is a financial advisor. And I mean, some of the stuff that he talks about, I really struggle to understand in his book. You know, I understood from an editing point of view to make sure it was beautifully written, but wow, understanding some of his concepts, I like, this makes my head hurt. But he has a weekly newsletter, and I've seen his newsletter. I'm actually signed up to his newsletter. I don't understand most of it, but I'm signed up to his newsletter. And his newsletter, I swear to you, every week I get it. It comes out every Tuesday, and it's about 3 paragraphs. 3 paragraphs. Guess what he charges for this 3-paragraph newsletter that comes out every week? He charges £97 a month for 4 newsletters. But the reason why is his content is gold. What he's doing all day, every day, is analyzing the financial markets. And then he just puts 3 paragraphs of what people need to be doing in the financial markets this week. And all of his followers love him because they don't have to go and do that work. They don't have to sit there and read the Financial Times or whatever the equivalent is, you know, in various parts of the world. They don't have to do that. They can just read this 3-paragraph newsletter and tells them everything that they need to know about the financial markets. So there you go. It's up to you. I can't tell you what your subscription should be, or what you should deliver, or what frequency you should deliver. That is your market. That is your sector. If you don't know, the best advice I can give you is don't guess. Go and interview a few of those people. Ask them to a Zoom conversation, or put up a survey if you've got a group, or a Facebook group, for example, or you have loads of followers on LinkedIn or Instagram, wherever. Put a survey out there and find out what they want, and then create something for them. But the wonderful thing is, if you've written a book, you've already gone through the process of figuring out the structure of what you do. Taking elements of that and then creating a subscription should be very, very simple. Okay. The E from assets is ebooks. Now I put this in here, not so much, but that it'll make a huge amount of money for you. Because ebooks, if you remember me telling you when I was talking about audiobooks, people complain if you charge more than $5 for an ebook because they have this, well, you're not even sending anything in the mail. It's just literally ones and zeros. So why are you charging me so much? So you're not going to make a huge amount of money from ebooks. The reason I put E in there is to remind you to make sure you do still publish via ebook. I've had many of my clients just say, oh, well, do we need the ebook version? Because they're really into books. You know, people who get really into books. It's like, oh, and I like proper books. I don't like Kindles. I don't like ebooks. So they don't want to publish on ebook. And then I have to talk them around and say, no, we need to publish both. We need to publish a tangible format, paperback and or hardback, but we also need the ebook format. The reason why is most people, especially when it comes to nonfiction, they want to buy your book via ebook. So it's the easiest way for people to consume your message. It's instant. As soon as they get it, they can start consuming. I've also had many people who said they downloaded my ebook and they liked it so much that they bought my paperback. So don't think it's either or. Sometimes people are buying the ebook just to check out whether you're the real deal. There's a lot of people these days who are saying, yeah, I can do lots of amazing things. There's a lot of, talking the talk and not a lot of people walking the walk. So what people do is they will buy your ebook just to see, do I like this person? Do they sound like they know what they're talking about? And then if they do, then they go deeper into your world. That's when they may buy your paperback or buy your audiobook, or they go into your website and then realize, oh, she's got a self-paced program. I like that program. Let me go into that program. Oh, she's got a subscription. Let me maybe go and do that. So you have to give them the lowest barrier to entry, and your ebook is the lowest barrier to entry. So that in itself is not going to actually certainly not going to make you much money at all. How much money can you make? I think I at the most expensive, my ebook is around about $3 or $4.99. Once Amazon have taken their cut, I'm barely getting £1 per sale. So I'm certainly not going to be getting, actually all of those proceeds actually goes to an animal charity based in the northeast of England anyway. So I don't make any money from it. But even if I wanted to make money from it, I'm not making much money at all from the ebook. However, it is the lowest barrier to entry for people to come into my universe. So you should also make sure you always create an ebook version of your book. It's the lowest barrier to entry for people to come into your world. Okay. Final one, the T from assets. Now, this is something that I've not done yet, but this is something I'm looking into. I've actually met somebody who can help me do this. So we're planning on doing this in the beginning of the year. So I will let you all know how things go. So you guys can use me as a case study if you wish. But this is genius. I remember the first time I heard about this, one of my clients was doing it, and I just thought, my mind was blown. I had no idea you could even do this. So tactful reselling is actually not an asset in itself. It's a clever way to use your other assets. So what this client of mine did, this was back in 2020, I believe. Yeah, I think he was bored during the pandemic and thinking of ways to make money. And what he did was he found somebody that would actually, an agent that would take his self-paced program and license it to another part of the world that he had no interest in working in, and he got paid for it. So I didn't even know you were allowed to do that. I just thought, really, would people do that? It's like, well, yes, there's people out there who have traffic sources. They're very good at getting traffic to something, but they either can't be bothered to create something, or they don't have the know-how to create something. See, if you've got something that's really good, for example, a self-paced program, they can actually say, hey, well, you can license, you can give them it's called a geographical license. You can give them a geographical license to sell your whatever asset it is in another territory that you don't have anything to do with. So it's not in competition with you. So for example, my self-paced program, if I want to do this, I would not sell it in the UK to somebody. Why would I do that? Why would I put myself in competition with myself? That's ridiculous. But say, for example, Australia. I have had clients in Australia, but I've given up. This year, I decided I'm not taking any more Australian clients. Not because I have a problem with Australians. They're amazing people. Nothing to do with that. It's just they're so far away time-wise. It was just getting ridiculous. I was having to get up in the middle of the night sometimes to do consultations. Sometimes they were having to get up in the middle of the night. It was just exhausting. It became exhausting trying to keep up with each other. And I just thought, you know what, that is too many time zones away from me. I need to think about my mental and physical health. And I want my clients to have great physical and mental health as well. I just don't think I can cope anymore with coaching Australian and New Zealand clients. So what this friend of mine is now looking to do in the new year is seeing if there's anybody in Australia and New Zealand who wants to take my self-paced program and they can sell it in that territory. So they're not in competition. And they keep, say, 75% of the proceeds, and I get 25% for doing nothing. I'm literally doing nothing. I'm handing it off to somebody else. They're selling it. They're generating leads. They're getting traffic to it. I literally just sit back and make money for doing absolutely nothing. And it's an asset that I've already created. So I've literally not even done anything with it. This blows my mind. I didn't even know that was possible, but that is something that you can do. Once you've created an asset, you can give a geographical license to somebody else. If it's a good asset, and it should be, by the way, if you've made a fantastic asset that really gives value to people in some way, you can sell a geographical license to it to somebody else in another territory that you have no interest in conquering. A version of that, this is something, again, I will look into, so you can use me as a case study once I do it. And again, a couple of my clients have done it, is you can give a geographical license, which is your name and your brand remains on it. The reason why you want that is you might get some kind of kickback for that. Somebody else essentially is building your brand in another territory that you haven't made your mark in yet. But you can actually choose to give somebody a white label license. Now, what a white label license is, it's different from a geographical license. It means that person can strip your branding off it and they can sell it as their own, as if they created it. So you don't get any, I guess, kudos for it. The good point is normally a white label license goes for anywhere between 10 to 50 times the cost of a geographical license. So I've had a couple of clients who've done that. They've given white label license to somebody and literally got paid tens of thousands of dollars for the white label license. And again, they did absolutely nothing for it. This was something they already had. They'd already created it. They're not giving to anybody who's going to be any competition to them because they're doing it in another place entirely. I mean, this blows my mind. I honestly didn't even know this sort of thing existed. So that is the one that I haven't done yet, but you guys can live vicariously through me. Well, once I go through it in 2025, I will let you know how that goes. But there's lots of money to be made from tactful reselling. Okay, so let me just show you somebody who's actually taken all of this and really took it to the max. So this is Luke Howson, one of my clients. He's written 2 books with me now. And with this book, he's now, well, 2 books, he's now created audiobooks from them, which is generating him passive income. He has a self-paced program. So he has a program on his site. People can pay it to go into it. He's created an amazing subscription. So he has a gym, but what he's now doing is, because of his books, before his reach was mainly in the northeast of England. But now as a 2-time author, his reach is all over the UK, and he also has people in Europe and the US who are interested in him. Now, obviously, they can't exactly just turn up to the northeast of England 2 or 3 times a week for a gym session with him. They can't fly in that often. So therefore, he's now created a subscription where his gym is now a studio and people can work from home while he is working with his in-person clients in his gym as well. So he's created a subscription. He also has ebooks, and he's now looking into tactful reselling as well. This is why Luke now has 2 incredible 6-figure businesses, because he wrote 2 books and he expanded those books. So I hope you can see how powerful this is. By the way, this is a caveat, don't feel like as soon as you published a book, you need to start implementing all of these. As you can see, I've been published now since 2021. I still haven't done all of these things. I'm still in the process of adding these assets into my portfolio. take your time. You don't have to go crazy and get all of this done within the first 6 months of you publishing your book. However, keep passive income assets, the acronym assets, in your mind. If you slowly over time build these 5 assets, you're going to create a wonderful cushion, a wonderful source of passive income, so you're not starting at zero every single time at the beginning of the month. Okay, so do take this. You will get this workbook tomorrow. A few of my clients, what they've even done is they actually printed this and they actually have it stuck on their wall to remind them to start building these assets. Okay, so it's really, really powerful. Now let me come out of this, stop sharing. Oh, you guys have been, you've been busy in the chat. Okay, so let's see what everyone has to say. Okay, so I think Stanley's already left. Okay. So hi everyone. Yes, I pass the instructions to my business. Love to learn about buyer leisure and book to do that. Has that helped you, Sarah? Do you get an idea now of how you can use your book to actually build these passive income streams? Great. That's good. Excellent. Catherine says, here to consider writing a book about moving to making a life full-time where you vacation, especially Florida, specifically Florida. That sounds like a great idea. So you're planning on moving to Florida, Catherine? Oh, you're muted, my love.
No, I do live in Florida. I moved here in 2004 from Pennsylvania. So,
yes,
you know, the pitfalls of, you know, income, like it's one of the worst paying states. And, you know, obviously, well, when I moved here, we had 4 hurricanes back to back. And now we just had 3 back to back. And we had the storm of the century. And, you know, it's, people need to understand what it takes to live in a place that has this potential at any time. Really, we've had storms
I
in
don't know how you do
February.
it. I think I'll just be on my yeah, my nerves would be frayed all the time. I think we're lucky here in the UK. I mean, we just don't get really much. Well, we're starting to get a lot more flooding now, which is affecting people. But apart from that, we don't really get big adverse weather. I think that's why we complain about it so much, because it's really just, there's nothing going on most of the time. But yeah. Has today helped you, Catherine? Has that given you, opened up your mind regarding what you can do? I hope you can see a lot of people just kind of think, oh, I just publish a book and I just publish it. And it's like, there's so much more to it. There's so much more you could be doing with a book.
Well, right now it's really interesting because I think the blog opportunity as well, you know, in conjunction with a book would seem to be very viable. People, there are groups like on Facebook and people are like, you know, where should I move to in Florida? This, you know, we just had 3 damn hurricanes, for God's sakes. I mean, it's been really tragic. The debris, the bay, the Gulf, you know, they're polluted right now, and people they just think the beach should be cleaned up immediately. And, you know, the water looks beautiful, but it's not clean, you know?
Yes,
so it's like there's great people really want to move to Florida. It's one of the top vacation spots, you know, in the country, in the world. You know, you have Disney and all the opportunities for one. I used to vacation here and my sister lived here, and that's how I ended up moving here. I just said, I'm not shoveling snow another day. And I made it happen in 5 months at 42 years old. I didn't have a job. I didn't know anyone. You know, I just sent 2 resumes and marketed myself, and I was able to make it happen. So, but what that actually takes, you know, to put it, I have an outline already.
Good.
And it's just never been a better time for people to want to move here. Why, I'm not sure, but you know,
no, thank you for sharing that, and I hope today's kind of helped you, because I always struggle with people who've already written a book or almost finished a book, and then they come to me and it's like, what should I do with it? And it's like, I mean, I am able to help them to a certain extent, but knowing where you want to go before you even get started is one of the most powerful things you can do. And the best authors out there are strategizing about how they're going to use their book, how they're going to build assets from their book before they even plan a single word of their book, because they're doing things backwards, but actually the correct way. Which is, I always think of it, it's something a mentor taught me a long time ago, is to think like a satellite navigation system. He used to always say that, think like a satellite navigation system. In that, when you go into your car, you actually punch in your destination to the satellite navigation system, and then it works out the most optimum way to get there from your destination. Now imagine if we approach life like that. We're always thinking about destination and then working our way backwards. Are we more likely to then get to our destination? Hell yes, of course we are. But for some reason, we don't do that in real life. And authors don't do that. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to write this book, and then I'll kind of figure out what I'm going to do with it afterwards. And I'm saying, no, be far more strategic. Think about how you're going to be leveraging books. Think about how your book fits in with your business, your career, what it is you're already doing. Think of the assets that you want to create from it. Plan all that out first. Almost, I guess it's almost like what do people call it? Manifesting. I guess that's it. It's a form of manifestation. You're kind of putting yourself into your future, seeing and manifesting that, and working your way backwards. That's a far more powerful way to be. So I hope today's helped you to really see what you can do. I always say, I'd rather, with all my clients, I'd much rather they spend several weeks just focusing on that and manifesting that than working on their book. Because otherwise you're just a busy fool. You're just kind of writing a book, but is it really going to serve you? I don't know. So really spend time on this. I hope that's helped you. Alison says, where are self-paced programs housed? I thought about putting a course on Udemy or Coursera, but my competitors are major universities. Well, I've used two specifically. One I use is called Skool.com, school with a K, so SKOOL. I can send you a link to that, Alison. I just said your surname there for some reason. Yeah, I can send you a link to that. That one's a little bit more premium. I think it's just under $100. I think I pay $97 or $99 a month for it. But I love it because that's where my coaching clients go, and it's more than just somewhere to house my program. It also has an interactive feature I can upload. It has a calendar, so I can put in when I'm doing consultations for them to drop in. I have drop-in surgeries for them. It's more interactive, so there's a lot more than just that. For my self-paced program, for the people who can't afford to work with me as a coach or consultant, that is housed on something called Thrivecart. And again, I can send you a link to them if you want to. That is, I think I paid a one-off $500. And I think that's it. I don't have to pay anything ever again. And it's pretty good. And they actually update it and add new things to it. And I don't pay anything else. So that's a much cheaper option if you just want to house something. Regarding Udemy or Coursera, I don't know much about Coursera. Udemy is a weird one. Now, Udemy, I really, really rate because of what they've been able to achieve over the last few years. They are like, even people who've never used Udemy know Udemy. You know you have brand power and people use your name and they don't even use your name correctly, but it's just now part of the English language. So I love what they've been able to do. But from what I can gather, Udemy courses are going for like about $20. A lot of them are extremely cheap, and I don't think they're making money from those. I wonder if they're doing courses and then the goal is people go on the course and then they've got like an upsell, a bigger upsell in the back, and that's where. So I think that's a different model. So I'm not saying you can't use that, but just be aware of that. Because I've looked at Udemy and I thought, how are people doing these courses? And some of these courses are big. We're not talking about tiny courses. We're talking about courses with about 20 videos with downloadable workbooks and all that kind of stuff. And they're selling it for $19.99. And I'm going, what? How is that even possible? So for this model to work, I think what they're doing is Udemy, the course on Udemy is their lead magnet. I think that's what they're doing. And then the goal is get these people through the program. They think you're amazing. And then there's an upsell in the back end. And that's where it is. So just be aware of that. It is a slightly different model to actually housing it on somewhere like School or Thrivecart, like I've done, or probably Coursera. I've heard of the name, but I've never really looked into that. So I don't know what that's like. But that don't get too, the biggest advice I can give you here, Alison, is don't get too focused on that. A lot of people get focused on technology. It's really not a big deal. Like most of these software platforms are, I mean, each one is slightly different, but they all kind of do the same thing. They're mainly somewhere for you to house your videos. And then what it does is it creates passwords for people. So people get their own password and then they can log in. That's essentially it. There are loads of them. That isn't the issue. The thing is getting your genius into something and then just finding a platform and sticking it on. And then you can even move platforms. You don't like that platform, you can take your stuff and put it onto another platform. It's really not a big deal. There's wonderful people that you can just get on Fiverr or one of the freelance websites who can do it for about $100. So it doesn't, it's not, don't worry too much about the tech side of it. The tech, there's always some wonderful people out there, techie people, who can help you with that. What they can't help you with is strategy and the ideas. That's the main thing, creating something that people want, something of value. Nish says, I'm in Melbourne, tell me more. I will, Nish. So we're definitely once it's an idea I've got, and we're going to start focusing on it in January to see if I could sell some of my assets, or at least give a license to some of my assets to consultants. There's probably book coaches and consultants in Australia and New Zealand. So yeah, I will let you know how that goes. Sarah says, this is such a great framework. I'm definitely going with begin with end in mind before I write anything. Absolutely true. And by the way, Sarah, you can use that for anything, not just books, anything. You know, this, I remember I spoke to a lady last week, and she was, I think she was doing a couple of blog posts a week, which is great. But I was sort of like, okay, so it sounds like you're building up your blog quite rapidly. If you're doing at least two blog posts a week, and she'd been at it for about 6 months, I was like, okay, you're building quite a library of blog posts. So what's the goal? Like, what are you going to do? She's like, well, I was told I needed a blog, so I'm writing blog posts. It's like, that's not a strategy. Somebody told you needed a blog, so now you're writing blog posts. I'm like, oh God. It's like, what's the goal? What's the end goal? What do you want these blog posts to do? And then we managed to narrow down that what she's wanting to do is, she wants her website to be found organically in search on Google. I said, okay, great. Now we know what the end goal is. Now we need to work our way back from that. So what keywords are people searching for to find you? Oh, I don't know about that. So she's created 6 months of blog posts that are not keyword optimized. So she just wrote blog posts. This is what I mean by being a busy fool. She's a lovely lady. I don't want to call her a fool, but you know what I mean. She's not a fool in general, but on this aspect, she's become a busy fool. She's written 6 months worth of blog posts. For what? They're not even keyword optimized because she didn't have that end goal in mind. So I hope that helps, Sarah. It's not just about books. It's something that I learned from a mentor over a decade ago, well before I was helping people write books. And it's something that's always stayed in mind. Always think about, what is the goal? What am I trying to get out of this? And then let that inform your actions, rather than I'm just going to keep doing stuff and then seeing what happens, because that never really works. Yes, go to have the vision first of what you want to achieve. Absolutely. Okay, so we're coming up to time. Now, many of you have already had a book idea audit with me, so I hope that's been helpful. For anybody who hasn't had a book idea audit with me, I urge you to book one. If you do have a book idea, book a call with me, because at least we can spend some time going through your book idea. Make sure it's got legs. So the sort of things we've been talking about today. So what are you going to do with your book? How does this build your business? How does this build your brand? The tough questions that perhaps you don't ask yourself because you're just so excited to write a book. And it is so exciting writing a book. But like I said, I don't want you to be a busy fool. I'd rather you not write a book than just write one for the sake of it. And then you're disappointed because nothing's happening with it. So let me show you very quickly how you can book a call with me. Let me just go back to, here we go. Okay, so, oh yeah, this is just to give you an idea of what some of my clients can achieve. Again, because they've got the end goal in mind. So we have people here, for example, who really were hell-bent on, I want to, so Amanda, for example, her big thing was, I want to be in the Financial Times. She's a financial advisor. So of course she wants to be in the Financial Times. That was her goal. And we made sure that she ended up in the Financial Times. We've had people who've ended up on TV, on nationwide TV, working with influencers, because that's what's important in there for their brand. So it's all about thinking about the end goal and having the end goal in mind, and then working backwards to write a book that fulfills that end goal. Very strategic. Nothing happens by chance, folks. You'll notice. Okay. But like I said, you know, it's going to be another generation before we get another E.L. James, who's just throwing things onto Amazon, badly edited, badly written, and still managed to become a multimillionaire. It doesn't happen very often. That's why we talk about her. So do get on a book idea audit with me. That's what I call them, because I'm going to be auditing your book ideas, not in a scary way before I start scaring off and thinking, oh my God, she's going to tell me the book idea is awful and going to make me feel terrible. I'm not that nasty, I promise you. But what I want to do is just really ground you and make sure that your book idea is great. And if your book idea isn't all that great, we can even spend some time brainstorming good book ideas for you. So the first part is we'll audit your book ideas to ensure you will be successful. We'll look at how you're going to be using the book, how it fits into your world. And then part two, once we've figured out what your book, the best book idea is, we'll look at what process will help you succeed. Okay. So the easiest way to book one of these is, in fact, what I will do. Why can't I come out of this? There we go. Here we go. So I'll put this into the chat now. So for those who haven't had a call with me, do book one and let's have a chat. So there you go. Once you click on that link, you'll come here. Do watch the video. It's only 5 minutes long, or just slightly over 5 minutes long. Just goes into a little bit more detail on what we'll cover, so you're prepared. 45 minutes sounds like a long time. It really isn't. You can just waffle on for 45 minutes and you don't get much done. Or we can actually do something very strategic. If you watch this video, you definitely know exactly. You just come into the call ready to rock and roll, as will I, and then we can get a hell of a lot done in 45 minutes. And then just scroll all the way down and you'll find this calendar. You know how this works, guys. You just click on a date that suits, click on a time, and then book yourself in. You just need to input some details, and that way it goes into my calendar and your calendar. So let's have a call and make sure that you are making the right decisions regarding your book. Okay, so let me come out of here. Any final questions or thoughts? Or have I stunned you all into silence? Looks like I have. David's going, yes, I'm stunned into silence. We still need to get you started. It's going to be next year for you, isn't it, David, for you writing your book? David's already one of my clients, by the way, but he's not started yet. So looking forward to David getting started, and I know he's going to write a fantastic book. Thank you, Alison. Really, really appreciate it. And I'll send you those links. But like I said, please don't worry too much about the tech. I used to be like that. I used to be like, oh, but what will I do? What will I stick it on? And, you know, what software do I need to create a landing page? And my mentor at the time said, don't worry about the software. Software comes and goes. You don't even need to learn it. There's incredible people who can do it for you for peanuts most of the time. What they can't do for you is the strategy, your zone of genius. That's what you should be focused on. So we look forward to my book. Yes, I look forward to speaking with you, Sarah. Awesome. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got a lot from it. Like I said, you will get the workbook sent out to you tomorrow. Joycey, who I can just see her, Joycey's in the crowd there. She will make sure she will send it over to you tomorrow. So that will go into a lot more detail. If you got any questions, just email me. I'm always around, so I'll be able to answer any questions that you've got. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you at a future forum. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.